fellow travelers, Mark here with Wolter's World. I'm a tourist in Chile. I'm a tourist in the Netherlands. So I'm here in Liverpool, and if you're here, I was in Liverpool. Sorry, I'm a Scouser kind of guy.
I've watched your videos since I was at school.
All right, we're both recording.
Let's go. Welcome back to the Will Miles podcast. Today, I have got what is probably the best podcast I've done so far for me, because we have got Mark from Wolter's World. Genuinely, I've watched your videos since I was at school, literally. Traveling was the thing I wanted to do more than anything when I was trapped at school, doing things I hated every day, maths, English, everything. And I used to watch your videos of you in Ecuador, you in Finland, you in Croatia, all these places, thinking I will do it one day. And since then, I've started my traveling. I've done 28 countries out of 197. And
nice.
It's incredible to have you on. So,
I appreciate you inviting me on, my friend. I'm glad I could help you get through some of the more boring days in school back in the day.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I wanted to take it back to the start and ask you how it started for you. Where did your travel bug come from, and what's led you down this unique life that you've got where you just travel around making content?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's odd is like my entire childhood. I mean, I grew up with there was no EasyJet, there was no Ryanairs, there was nothing like that. Like when you went on a plane, it was like, oh, some of you're going to fly. Oh my God, you were on a plane. You know, like even like when you're in college, we were like, nah, like spring break, we drive. Like you didn't do anything. So I think part of it is like my grandfather. He was like a minister, and he retired, and but apparently when you're a retired priest, they send you all over the place. Oh, you're never retired. So he'd go all over the U.S. like to go help out a church for like a month here, 2 weeks there. And so he'd always send me these postcards, which I really wish I would have kept now that, 40 years later. I'm like, I wish I had those. But he would send us these postcards everywhere he went. And I think that was one of the things that kind of got me like, oh, look at these cool places. I've never been there. I've never been there. I've never been there. That was like, I think that was like the seed, that kind of like planted in there. And then my parents both traveled a lot for work. Like my dad, he worked for a company. He worked in Mexico. He would be gone like when I was in high school and junior high, my dad would be in Mexico for a month at a time, Korea a month at a time. So there was like, he only took me to Mexico once. Never took us to South Korea, which my mom and I are still pissed about. But I think part of it was that as well. But I remember when I first decided to really travel, it was a study abroad program. I met this girl from South Africa, and she's like, oh, have you ever thought about, being an exchange student? It's like in high school. And I'm like, not really. She's like, oh, it's so much fun. And she was cool. And I was like, yeah, I mean, you're cool. So I guess all study abroad must be cool. So I ended up going to like Australia for a summer and just fell in love with it. It was like, I remember I was in high school. I'm like, I'm going to be the mayor of my town, and then the governor, and then the president. Like that was my like goal. And then I went and traveled. Like, screw all that. I would travel. So I remember I came back, and I'm like, all I can think is like, how can I travel? How can I travel? And so like when I came back, I ended up like I finished high school. And I graduated a year early from high school, so I go study abroad again for a year, like a gap year in Finland. And then I went to college or university, and I studied abroad, like in Austria, studied abroad in Argentina. I'm like, this is awesome. And then I was like, I should do more. And I ended up doing my master's in Germany. And then I went back to the US and did the like desk job stuff. I'm like, dude, this isn't for me. I can't wear the suit and tie. It's just not me. And I ended up going to teach in Lithuania and working there for a while. And I love that. I'm like, if I want to do this for real, I should get like a PhD or a doctorate or something. So then before I did that, I went to Brazil for a while and stayed there for like a year and just enjoyed living in Brazil because it was awesome. And then I ended up going to Portugal, did my PhD there. So I was in Portugal for 5 years then, and then moved back to the US. I'm like, my day job, I'm a professor. But did all this traveling stuff, but it always was going around. Like anytime I could do anything, like when I lived in Germany for my master's, like at least 1 weekend a month, it was like, we're going someplace. And then when I was doing my PhD, that's when like EasyJet, Ryanair all like went like everywhere. And I was living in Lisbon. So all of a sudden it became the coolest place to go. So all of a sudden in like, it spent like 6 months, we went from like, oh, we had like a flight to London and a flight to Rome to like, we have a flight anywhere you want to go in Europe, So it was like awesome. So we were going all the time. Like my youngest, he was born in Portugal, so we're going all over. But like the Wolter's World, like the video stuff, that started, there's a few things that started with. One, I was teaching in Portugal, and I had a lot of non-native English speakers in my classes, and I'm like, dude, I don't want them to fail because I speak too fast. So I started making like summary videos for like the business topics. I'm like, hey, you know, if I wrote the exam, which I did, like I would put this other question. So here's some videos to watch. So they'd watch those to kind of help them out. Then also my wife at the time, my fiance, she was going to move to Portugal, and so I started making these videos. Like, okay, here's some basic Portuguese words you should know. Like I go to the grocery store, which was by our apartment. So like this is the grocery store you're going to go to, and this is leite, milk. And I would like do like videos like that, and so that's where like the videos kind of started. And then when Walter's Road really took off, I think it was when I was in the Veneto region, and I got this guidebook. It was like the AAA version or the AA version of like their guidebooks or whatever, but for Italy. And this book like made this one town sound fantastic. I bought it at the Venice airport. Get the book, I'm like, dude, this town sounds awesome. It's got a palazzo. It's got like, oh yes, you'll feel real world, medieval charm in their market, la la la. Like, oh my God, I gotta go. And I remember this is like I took the guidebook and I showed my buddies in Italy. Like their families have lived in the Veneto for like, I don't know, 500 years, 700 years. And they're like, never been there. Huh. But it sounds cool. Should have been a red flag. Their family been there for freaky hundreds of years, never went to this town, which is like an hour away. I go there, the palazzo's under construction, the museum's got nothing, and the medieval market, yeah, during the week it's a parking lot. I'm like, and I'm like, this isn't right. This is BS. Like, I know, like in Europe, people get a lot of vacation time. In the US, we don't get crap for vacation time. And I was just thinking to my friends, I'm like, man, you get like one chance in your life to do like a European vacation. And if you read this guidebook, you go to this place thinking I need like 2 or 3 days. I'm like, dude, you need like 2 hours. And I was like, that's not right. And that kind of upset me because then I started noticing like there was like Lonely Planet books and blogs and everything. It was like you could start to see like who got paid or who got free stuff or who got things to say nice things about things. I'm like, I don't want someone's vacation ruined because somebody got a free beer, you know? And so I was like, that's when I decided, no, I want to do honest travel advice. I want to help people out, but like be honest about it. And so we made this video, like 5 things you love and hate about going to Portugal. We made one 5 things you love and hate about going to Germany. And that was the first videos that really took off because it was like people were like, oh my God, you're not just saying all the great things. I'm like, well, no, because you want to be prepared. You got to know the good and the bad. And so, it's funny because like we get trolls troll. You know that. Like trolls will troll. And so we get people that get really mad at our videos, like, how dare you say these things? I'm like, dude, it's Paris. There is a lot of dog poop around. Like it was an issue. Like, but like, you can't say things like that. And like the Portuguese went mad. Well, yes, everyone knows you have to pay for the bread. Like, not the tourists where it's free in their country. So we're trying to give all this like information to help people. So instead of them being upset about these things, it's like they knew it and they're like, haha, I knew not to eat the olives because I didn't want to pay for it. And so doing that, and that's where it kind of came from. And it's kind of grown like insane over the years. But it's just been trying to keep it consistent, just being like the honest advice. So like if Will is going someplace, Will, you're a busy young man. You got all this stuff going on. Do you have time to watch 400 videos? No, but I can give you one, like the don'ts of going to Finland, and it's going to give you the safety, the food, the main things there. It's do's and don'ts, because negativity is what people click on. So you have to have the don'ts thing, but it's more do's. And I know you can watch that one video, and I'm not going to worry about you when you go there. So that's a long answer to your short question.
No, no, no. Honestly, the knowledge, you're a fountain of travel knowledge, and that's why I've always watched you and always, wanted to have you on the podcast. But
Appreciate
Finland,
it.
for example, is obviously you lived there for how long was it you lived in Finland?
So it was a year. I was an
Yeah,
exchange student there, so I was 18 when I lived there. So it was like prime going out years too. It's like, yeah, dude, it's like every night I can go out, I'm gonna find a way to go out. So it was funny because like it's interesting, like all the places I go, some places are like Finland is a very introverted place. Italy's a very extroverted place. But no matter where you go, like people are kind of the same. Like they want to have a good time, they
yeah.
want to hang out with their friends, they want to have good food, good drink. It's like you find those common things, you can enjoy yourself anywhere in the world.
So, what's your favorite place you've been to?
So favorite place, it depends. Like I usually go by continent. Like Brazil's my favorite in South America. But I always tell people like it's a fantastic place to go if you speak Portuguese. If you don't speak Portuguese, it's a nice place to go
Yeah.
because the people in Brazil really make it. There's so much nature, cool stuff. You go to colonial cities, you go beaches, it's cool. But like it's the people in Brazil I love. And but the thing is, like you got to speak Portuguese to really get it. So that's why I'm like, but if you're gonna go for your first time to South America, I would go to Peru because you have Machu Picchu, you've got a really great infrastructure, fantastic food, you'll be okay. I think if I look at going to Central America, I think Nicaragua was our favorite one going to Central America. That was really cool, just because it was like there's the colonial stuff, but then there's like you can surf down the volcanoes kind of things. Like there's cool things there. Uh, Asia, I enjoy. I actually taught in China for a summer, so I love going around there. My wife prefers Japan, but I think like if I go to Africa, Rwanda was the coolest place. Like when we went there was nothing out there about it. Like everyone was like the genocide. I'm like, was that like 30 years ago? And they're like, yeah, but that was like literally you'd search online, everything showing up on Google was just about the genocide. And so when we went there was literally nothing. Like there was like a little tiny chapter in like Africa, West Africa for Lonely Planet. Like there was nothing. So when we went there, that was one of the cool things is really like really learning the stuff. Like, man, you go around there, there's so few tourists that people lose their mind when they see tourists. Like, oh my God, tourists. And we had our kids with us, and our kids were little, and they're like, people like they would crowd the bus, they'd like come out like, oh my gosh, there's kids. Holy, because most tourists they like fly into Kigali, they take a helicopter out to like see the gorillas in the mist and they leave. And we were going all around the country. So like our kids were playing soccer in the villages and stuff. So it was like awesome. That was great. Going to Europe, I think it's tough for favorite country in Europe because there's so many I have I basically lived in Italy, I lived in Finland, I like have that. But I think for a tourist, I usually tell people best first place to go is like Ireland if you're from the US because it's simple, it's an island so you can't get lost, you hit the coast eventually, and they're very patient with the really bad driving on the other side of the road kind of people. So there's that. But if you're going for like culture, fun, food stuff, I usually tell them France or Italy for me are my two favorites. But Italy, I'm kind of biased because I have so many friends and I've basically lived there. I haven't like technically lived there, but I spent so much time. It's like I live
Yeah.
there. So there's those ones there. But like, it's so that's why it's so hard to say my favorite place because there's so
Yeah,
many
yeah.
awesome places to go. So
Italy's a cool place. It's got a unique feel about it, hasn't it? Italy, I
yeah,
think.
it's just the vibe, like the vibe
Yeah,
there. It's like it can be like just some dude on the street picking up the garbage. He still looks way stylish, more stylish than you or me. Like no matter what we do, like we could have the exact same clothes on, it wouldn't work. Like they just got this like thing, you know.
yeah.
It doesn't matter. You're like how do you put that together? Like you're wearing like a piece of paper, a towel, and some shoes, and you look fantastic. And I'm like, I look like dog crap, like no matter
No,
what I wear.
Italy's cool. I like it. You know what? I've never been to Italy, and then I went twice last year. I went to
Yeah,
Pisa for
yeah,
about 7 hours or something
yeah.
really, really
The
short
the
time.
Ryanair flight that goes in.
No, it was. I think it was Ryanair, yeah. But pretty much, I flew. I was going to Romania, but I went via Ibiza and then Italy. So I flew
Nice.
to Ibiza for about 9 at night, Ibiza time. Spent a one night in Ibiza, flew back in the morning across to
Hey,
Italy.
I'm proud you made that flight the next day.
Well, you know what? I didn't really go that mad. I just kind of sat in a bar for a bit and just. I'm not like a mega party type person. I just thought, you know
Yeah.
what?
Well, Ibiza makes it hard sometimes not to be. You're like, I'm just going for a drink. Next thing you know, it's 5 in the morning. You're like, sure, let's go to some more stuff.
Yeah, it was all right, Ibiza. To be fair, it was good. And then, like I said, I went over to Eastern Europe, which is my favourite place. I don't know about you,
Yeah.
but
Where did you go? Where'd you end up going in Romania?
I did Bucharest, Brasov, Cluj-Napoca, and then over the border to Hungary, and then up from
Yeah.
there.
That was a nice little combo there. Because last time I was in Bucharest, I mean, it's probably been like 15 years. We're going again this summer uh, to take the kids because my kids have never been to Romania. So I'm like, we got to go. We got to film. But I actually like the Transylvania, like Cluj, Sighisoara,
Yeah,
Brasov. Like those places are like so cool. And like I remember going, maybe it's more than like 20, almost 20 years now. I'm like, this place is gonna be awesome. Like when they get the European Union developmental funds and like get it cleaned
yeah,
up,
and they can make a
like
holiday destination out of it. Yeah,
yeah, like and that I've seen them like kind of like slowly moving up the rankings kind of stuff. So I'm kind of pumped to go back.
yeah. And another place I've been to twice in the last year is Ukraine. I've,
Oh yeah,
so
how was that?
it was good. It was good. Ukraine for the like you said vibe is my favorite place. I just think I
Yeah.
just think because even when I was growing up, I remember watching Top Gear, for example, and they went to Ukraine, and it
Oh
was
yeah, I remember
like,
that episode.
I remember just thinking that is the coolest place. It's just a cool place. It's
Yeah,
it even sounds cool, doesn't it? Ukraine. I don't know.
yeah.
The name of the country sounds cool, but yeah, I went
It,
to. I went to Odessa, then up to Kiev, and
Yeah.
as soon as I got to Kiev, I got off the bus, and it's I didn't have 4G or data or anything, so I had to keep finding petrol stations or McDonald's or things like
Yeah.
that to, to
Like back in my day.
yeah,
Like
to get the connection to get on Google Maps and see where I was going to the hotel. So I'm
yeah.
just kind of walking around the outskirts of Ukraine at 5 in the morning, still dark. And as well, have you been to Ukraine?
No, I've been all around Ukraine, but I've not been to Ukraine.
No. Well, it's there's no street lights outside the city, so you're driving for miles and miles and miles. There's nothing. So it's like fairly outside the city, not too far away,
Yeah.
probably an hour, 45-minute walk into the centre. But but it's very badly lit. So I found this little petrol station, whatever. I've got myself a drink just to get into the Wi-Fi, and then literally, probably 5-10 seconds after I've bought this drink, I've just heard shoo, and then the air raid sirens went off, and it was proper miss. And I thought, whoa,
Damn,
I've been
dude.
here 20 minutes, and it's all on my Instagram and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
have a look at it if you want. But yeah, it was to say I've just got to Kiev, and obviously there's big talk in the news about it and stuff, whatever. It's all over the news,
Yeah.
all over the world. And then I had
Yeah.
that feeling of kind of, I'm actually here. Like, this is real. Have you ever been to a
Yeah.
country like that and thought, whoa, like this is actually, you get that
Yeah.
realization
So
where you are?
so so mine was in Peru in the like mid late 90s when Shining Path was big. Shining Path was basically a terrorist organization. Like they were like it was bad news, and they were doing crackdowns on them. And I was in Lima, and I'm like, being the tourist, walking around. I was in university, so I was probably like 20, 21. So I was like around your age. And I'm like walking down, like, and they've got all these people there. And then all of a sudden, this like, like in like the zombie movies when there's like a wave of zombies running kind of stuff. It was like around the corner, this wave of people starts running around the corner. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And there's a personnel carrier, like a tank coming around the thing. I'm like, oh crap. So I'm like running another way. Like that was one of those times I'm like, oh man, this is getting real. Like that was one of those times I was like, yeah, I probably should read those warnings at the State Department or the Foreign Office Department. You're like, yeah. But that was one of the first times I was like, oh man, like that it got real, real fast because there was the people that were running around and then the people that are like it was like a pedestrian street, like and then like the normal everyday people, they also are like, oh crap, and then they are running. It's like everybody goes at the same time. That was one of those times I was a little worried. I won't lie to you, I was a little worried that day.
No, but it's one of them again, them stories you're here now telling this on a podcast.
Yeah.
It's all part of life. How many
Yeah,
countries
like
have you done?
I'm smiling now thinking about it, but then I was not smiling. I was like, oh crap.
How many
Just like
countries
I'm
have you
sure
done?
you were like, oh crap.
Yeah. So, how many countries have you done so far altogether? Do you know the exact number?
Somewhere in the 80s.
Yeah,
I know like because at one time I was trying to like it was the collection kind of thing, and then like of kids, and I'm like, no, I want to get my kids to 100 countries before they move out of the house.
yeah,
And so we were making good progress, and then COVID hit.
yeah,
So like 2020, 2020, like 2020, 21, 22, you couldn't really go anywhere, So it's like, dang it. So like my older son, he's 18, so he's like in the mid 60s, and then my youngest one is almost at 60, and like I don't know, this summer he's 13. He's like, Dad, could we get back on that 100 countries before I move out? I'm like, okay, buddy, let's do it. Because like after COVID, because most of my friends live abroad. Yeah, because I lived 15 years abroad, so I made friends all over. So like for me, like after COVID, I'm like, I don't want to see new countries. I want to see my friends. And so we started going. So like we did go in 22, 23, and most of 24. It was like I want to go see my buddies because I haven't seen them for 4 or 5 years, because of all the COVID stuff and restrictions. And when you get old, time gets crazy. And so like this year it's back to okay, now we're going to go do new things. Like now we're back to new countries to kind of get for the kids. So we've got like we're going back down to the Balkans. Like I want to take the kids because they haven't been to like Romania, Bulgaria, North Macedonia, Albania, Bosnia. It's like all the old Yugoslavia. Like we're going down to see all that for them so they can get those. And it's like okay, and then now it's like okay, now we're getting back. And I'm getting excited because it's like some of these places I've never been to Albania. I've never been to North Macedonia. So I'm like, cool, let's go. And that's a cool thing about it. It's like sometimes even if you travel a lot, it's like someplace new, you're like, oh, I don't know what to expect when I go here, you know? So it's like, it's kind of a fun thing that way. But yeah, so youngest, I'm going to get him there. The oldest, well, here's a great, the oldest one now, like we've traveled so much. Now he's like almost scared to fly. And especially like, I don't know how, if you guys have the news, like we've had a lot of plane crashes in the US the
Yeah,
last
yeah,
month. It's so he's like, no, and there's the airport we fly out of, the Delta plane that flipped over on the runway. Everyone survived. And that was their like a plane that we take all the time. So I'm like, oh man, please don't read the news, man. Don't read. He read the news. I'm like,
yeah.
so I don't know if he's going to go with me to Panama because we're going to Panama here in a little bit. And
Yeah.
since he's 18, I mean, I can't make him go. Like 13-year-old, I'm like, you ain't got no choice, kid. You're 13. Let's go. But he wants to go. But the 18-year-old, I'm like, can't force him, and he's freaked out, so I'm not going to push it. So I have the tickets for him, but it's like, hey man, it's up to you to decide. Like
Yeah,
I
I'll
won't.
take them tickets if they're going free, mate.
Yeah,
Don't worry about that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
so
So.
anywhere you wouldn't go, anywhere you don't want to go.
So I did a video about this this year because I got this question so many times. It's not a specific country I wouldn't go to, but it's like certain situations. Like I wouldn't go to Ukraine right now because there's a war. I mean, if I was younger, I wouldn't have cared. But now I got two kids, I got a wife, I got to support them. Like if I'm dead, ain't no more Walter's World, you know? So it's like I got to make sure that there's some responsibility happening. But like war zones, also I don't fly over war zones because you know that KLM flight that got shot down over Ukraine. You know,
Yeah,
like it sounds like people are like you're really paranoid. I'm like, but I'm paranoid because it happened.
yeah,
So if I can take those things out, other things, if there's like if it's like super strong dictatorship where people disappear for no apparent reason or anything, like because we do videos about loves and hates and do's and don'ts, in some countries, like you say something like you can go to jail. So I'm
yeah,
like, I'm not, or it'll be like, okay, I'll go film there, knowing that I probably could never go back, which
yeah.
I like going back everywhere, pretty much everywhere we go. But it's like if it's like currently like war zone, flying over the war zones, or if it's like it's unstable at this time. And the thing is, we'll do the research because like some people are freaking out. They'll be like, oh, like we went to Mexico City last week. They're like, oh, you go to Mexico. I'm like, Mexico City's fine. They're like, cartels. I'm like, you're not dealing with the cartels when you're in Roma Norte, man. Like that is not a thing there. And like we went to El Salvador's, like they've cleaned up El Salvador a lot the last few years, but we were there in 2000, like 20, it was 2020 because I was in the airport, like the main airport in San Salvador, and everybody had all the workers had masks on. And I'm like, I think this thing is going to be bigger than we think because even like the like McDonald's staff and the cleaning staff, everybody was masked up at the airport. Not the passengers, but the people working there. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And literally, like, we got back from Ecuador, and like a week later, that's when everything shut down.
Yeah.
And but when we were going to Ecuador, like that's when it was like the what like murder capital of the world kind of stuff. And so we're going, but I was doing the research about it. Like, look, it's mostly drug, it's more gang on gang violence, drug violence. It's in these cities, these parts of the cities. And I'm like, we're not going to those parts. We're going to, we're going to lakes, we're going to the coast, we're doing this. And everywhere you go, everyone's got their M16 or their AK-47, everybody. You go to a gas station, guys got AK-47, two guns and some knives and stuff. You're like,
What? Just the regular people?
well, like there's like a security guard. That's like your security
Right.
guard at your hotel, at the gas station and stuff. Because it was an issue, but I did the research. I'm like, yeah, but where we're gonna be, we can do this. It's like, like I know there's parts of Ukraine we can go to. I'm not really worried about, There's some parts I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna go near the border. Right? It's like I'm not gonna go over there. But like but there's other parts you can go to. So you just do the research for it. But in general, sometimes it's just easier that way. And things change. Like South Korea was totally fine, but right now South Korea's they had a little political stuff going on in the last few months. It's like because we let our fans vote for places for us to go, and this year they voted for. It was funny. It was a tie between Banff, there's a park in Canada, and South Korea. I'm like, that's very odd. That was like I didn't think Banff had a chance versus South Korea, but they tied. So it's like okay, we'll do both. But now I'm like, well, we're definitely gonna do Banff. But now I gotta see because we've pushed back the South Korea trip to the end of the year to see if things have calmed down there. You're fine still going there, but it's like do I want to take the chance, because I'm taking my family and stuff. So that's where it kind of goes in. Because it is different. Like if I'm going by myself or if I'm taking the kids with me or if I'm taking my parents, my parents are like in their, my dad's like 81 now. My mom's like in their late 70s. I'm like, all right, wait, maybe we're not going to go there. Like, but we went to Rwanda and Tanzania with them. So they still get around like that where they're still physically there. But yeah, there's some things that kind of influence the yes or no's kind of stuff. And other times it's just like some places I'm like, it's like I just don't want to go. It's like the Dubais that are out there, like they look cool, but I don't want steel and glass. I'd rather go to like Oman or something and see like more historical kind of stuff. So it all kind of depends.
Yeah, yeah. Like you said about the carrying all the guns. When I was again, I go back to it. I was in Ukraine, and I was in the Odessa. Obviously, there's
Mhm.
curfew at night, so I think it's from 12 till 5. You can't go out,
Yeah.
and the military just stood there with guns, literally just like a normal everyone eating, drinking, like an outside kind of market area. But the military are just
Yeah.
there, not just chatting away like that. Like the police do at
Yeah.
events,
Yeah.
or you go to a football game or something like that,
Yeah.
but they were there with proper army military guys. But it
Oh
made me
yeah.
feel safer. I actually thought,
Yeah.
a military presence around. I thought it didn't put me off. I thought, oh, it's all right.
Yeah.
Nothing's
Yeah.
gonna.
And sometimes that's why like people like when I would show pictures from El Salvador and there are other places in South America where we've had the same stuff and they're like, weren't you worried? I'm like, no, because the reason why they have the big guns, and this is what someone told me. Well, nobody's scared of a small gun, so you have to have a big gun to
Yeah,
scare off the bad guys. So that's
yeah.
why they all have big guns. I'm like, fair enough.
Well, when I missed a bus from, or I was racing to get a bus that I eventually missed, but because with Ukraine it's a different alphabet, in it. It's like
Yeah, oh yeah, dude.
I saw you actually said something when you were in Russia that it's just so hard to actually
Yeah.
figure
Well, for
things
me,
out.
for when I before I went to Russia, I was working in Lithuania, and so I like hired some of my Russian speaking students to teach me like the base, like how to read the letters, so I could sound it out. And a lot of the words, like I would sit there like in the metro and like sound out the word, and then the word would be like what it is in English. I'm like, or like the word I would know. I'm like pre v ed. Oh, privyet. Oh, hi. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
like you'd say it, and they're like, it's like a little kid realizing, oh, hey. But
yeah.
yeah, like, but the letters when you're like, okay, I'm looking for the tent on top of the stilts. Like I'm looking for that one. You're like, that's the stop. I'm like, I don't know what it means.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
it's
no,
very easy. You're
definitely.
like, I think that was my stop.
Well, that's what it's like in Ukraine, obviously, and that's why I was running around trying to find this coach that was going to Kiev, and I approached two military. I don't know if they were army or just like the high up police, but they're there
Yeah,
with a massive guns. I went up, I said, "Could you?" And he just helped me out. You know what I mean? They're not. I think people get the wrong idea. They think that
yeah,
you tell someone who's never really travelled that, and it had scared them. But in reality,
yeah,
they're only doing a job. They're only there for
yeah.
security purposes and stuff
Oh
like
yeah.
that. And but again, like you said about the planes going over war zones and stuff, when I actually flew to Moldova, you have to, as the crow flies, you go over Ukraine, but obviously the airspace is
Bit
up.
dicey. Yeah,
So we're kind of going around Ukraine, and I'm thinking, I hope this pilot knows what he's doing. Well, obviously they do, but like you said,
yeah,
you hear of they have a bit of an
yeah.
airspace violation, and they shoot them down. And I was thinking, yeah, you do think about it. It's
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, no, there's been a few times I'm like, why are we like there's sometimes when you fly, like in the US, we've flown, I think I was flying to DC and there was like the F-15s or F-16s, whatever, like the jets, F-35, like they're like flying nearby, and I'm like, are we in trouble? And they were just like, no, they're just doing a test thing or whatever. I'm like, okay, because I was a little worried there for a second.
yeah, yeah, no, it's certain points, certain things can be scary. What is your craziest travel story? Obviously, you told me about the thing in Peru, but what's happened while you've been traveling where you think, whoa, that's the most unlikely scenario I've ever ended up in?
There's there's a lot of difference. I think the one that was the most messed up for with the going with the family is like I was teaching in China and my son was just 2 at the time, and he got his door, or sorry, he got his hand smashed in a door, but not where the door like closes, but on the
On
hinge,
the yeah,
on a metal door. I'm in a meeting and I get a call from my wife. And like she doesn't usually call when I'm teaching. I'm like, hey, I just hear screaming.
yeah,
And I'm like, oh crap. I'm like, what? She's like, you've got to get here now. Liam's hand is smashed. Like we get it's huge. And like so my translator and I like we run out of the meeting, get to the hotel. He's just, I mean, this is not like half hour after he's still screaming. Like we hop into basically like a taxi, go to it's like, okay, it's probably bones. So we go to the bone hospital. Go to the bone hospital. It's like a mash unit. It's like people lined up in the halls everywhere. we know what's going on. And we finally get a doctor. They're like, oh, he's a kid. We can't see him here. You got to go to the kid hospital. So then we hop in another, taxi to go across, and Beijing's huge. And he's screaming the whole time. And we're like, I hope he doesn't lose his hand. Like it's like take a baby's hand and it's like this size now.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
to this,
yeah.
And like crap. So when we get to the children's hospital, and this thing goes for like 10,000 kids when we're there, and we're like, he's still going, like, we finally get registered, all the stuff in there. And which you have to understand is in China, at least at that time, like little kids, they would just let them poop on the floor. And so like we're sitting there, this mom holds her baby, like little kid out, he poops on the floor, she wipes it up and throws it away, and we're like, and we're trying to get an x-ray for his hand, and the doctor's like,
Inside.
oh, inside, yes, inside, like straight up pooped on the thing, just right there. And yeah, it was interesting. And so we go to finally get an x-ray of his hand, and the doctor's like, if he's not quiet, I'm not going to do it. We have to sedate him. I'm like, I'm not putting a 2-year-old under sedation for a hand x-ray. He's like, well, you're like, get out of here. I'm like, whatever, we're out. So like the paid children's hospital is next door. We go there and they're like, look, you got to pay a membership fee. I'm like, I don't care. Like, we got an ATM right there. It's $400. I'm like, that's it. So my son has got a lifetime membership to the children's hospital in Beijing. Finally get him in. We see the doctor, who later on was funny because the doctor's best friend is a super big fan of ours. And so when I put his picture in the video, he's like, hey, that's my buddy. So it was like all came around. But when the doc came out, he got the x-ray, got him down. He's like, okay. He's like, thank God he's 2 and his hand's small and his bones are still really squishy, or else he would have shattered all the bones in his hand. So basically, you give him some, he's basically give him some ibuprofen or paracetamol or whatever, and that's all you can really do for now until the swelling goes down. But it was like that was an entire day of going to these hospitals, the kids screaming the whole time. His hand just keeps getting bigger and bigger and changing color. Like that was one of those like, holy crap. And then my oldest, he always seemed to like getting hurt, like falling downstairs and stuff. So he's like chipped teeth, cracked heads up. I'm like, dude, pay attention. So there's some of those safety ones there. Crazy story for me. Like there's a lot of border stories of getting shook down by the border police. Like I was going from Paraguay into Argentina, and they're like, you don't have a stamp. And when I came into the country, the Brazil Paraguay side, I'm like, hey, I need to get a stamp because I know you have to stamp to here. And the border guy's like, shows his gun. I'm not going to give you a stamp. I'm like, okay. I'm not messing with a guy at the border with a gun. So I'm in Paraguay for like a week. When I'm leaving, I get to the border, and it's like it's the Argentine Paraguay. It's like a 24-hour bus from Asuncion to Buenos Aires, and it's like there's like middle of nowhere, like the Chaco. There's nothing, and so I get there, and they're like, "Hey, where's your stamp?" I'm like, "I don't have one." He's like, "What do you mean you don't have one? You have to have one. How do we know you got here?" I'm like, "Because I'm here," and I had my like into Brazil and like out of Brazil. I'm like, "So that's your border with Brazil." So I left the border, and so obviously I came in, and I'm in your country, but of course, I was scared shitless because I'm like another border, middle of nowhere, and the guy's like, "This fine." He's like, there's a sign on the wall. It's like $100 fine or something like that. I'm like, I don't have that kind of money. Like, I got an ATM card, and the guy's like, "Do you see an ATM around here?" And like, we're in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, "No." And so like, and it's like straight out of the movie. It's like cement square room with a metal table, desk there. The guys with guns and stuff like yelling at me, and I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" And so they're like talking, and I'm so freaked out. I can't even pay attention to the Spanish. And uh and so then the guys stop. They go, "Dame que tenés. Give me what you have." And I like the equivalent of $24 in pesos. Give that to them. The guy literally like looks at me, pulls the drawer out, like in the movie, like drops it down like this. Not like puts it in, but just like boop, drops down, and the thing is like, get out of here. I'm like, oh, okay. So then I go to the Argentina checkpoint, and they tried the same crap, like, oh, you don't have a stamp. Like, I go, this is bullshit. They just shook me down for all the money I have. I have a visa that lets me in the country anytime, so there's nothing I have to have for leaving. You know that. And the guy's like, okay, stamps lets me through. Funny thing is, this was probably like a 35, 45-minute adventure doing this. The line was so long to go across the border. I was actually the first one to get back to my bus. But the problem was there's all these little kids there that want to grab your bags and put it in your bag to get a tip. And I have no money. Like they took everything. Right. And so I'm like trying to like fake out these kids by going to another bag to grab my bag because I literally had nothing. To grab mine and get on. They're like, oh, I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. I literally have no money. And they, of course, no one believes you. And so I get on the bus. We still got like another 18 hours on the bus. And I was talking to this lady that was sitting next to me on the bus. She's like, I'm sorry. She like gets me an apple, got me a sandwich at like one of the stops and everything. I'm like, I really appreciate it. Which was funny because then I rolled in at like 7 in the morning and I was going to school there. And I had like an exam at like 8. So it's like roll in, went to school. take the exam. Like, I gotta go home. Screw this.
Them bus journeys and them long journeys.
Oh yeah.
Because with me, I booked them and I think, oh, I'll be all right. It'll be all right. I'll just. And then
Yeah.
halfway through, you're thinking, I've got like another
8
6 hours,
hours. Yeah.
and you
Well,
cry.
the
And I'm
work,
quite tall as well, and I'm like, when you sat there and how
and
do
you
you
get the
deal with
lady
that?
that leans back, and the person behind you is listening to like without headphones. You're like, just I had that. I took a bus from Lyon to Turin, and because the train line's out, and I'm like, okay, it's like a 6 hour bus ride, and I'm like, she's not gonna talk on the phone with speaking the whole way. She went from speaking phone, then like watching something on Netflix full blast. I'm like, oh God. I was like, whatever. But I still remember like that's one thing I always tell people if you go to like Central America, South America, Asia, like like there's different types of buses. And like if you go for a cheap bus, you will pay for it. Because I did this once. I went from Buenos Aires to Puerto Madryn, which is like a peninsula where you can see whales and penguins and stuff. It's like another like 18-hour bus ride. When I go down, I get like, oh, they have like beds and stuff. Cool. So I get like the expensive one, which was not expensive. Like I get it. I'm going down. I'm like, oh, sleep. It's got TV. I mean, this is before there was Wi-Fi, so there was no Wi-Fi, but it was like lighting. They had like coffee machine. Would you like some snacks? I'm like, this is great. And then I get down there. I'm like, oh yeah, I can take over the world. When I'm getting my ticket to come back, I'm like, wait, there's one that's like literally like 1/3 of the price. Why should I pay all this? Because me thinking, oh, all the buses are the same. Get that one. It was literally a straight up like American yellow school bus kind of bench seat. It like this that like just bounced the whole way. I never had back problems before, but after that trip, I seriously had back problems because my back was so like jankied up from all that stuff. That's from then on. I'm like, never again will I take the cheap bus. I will take the nicer one.
Well, I'm thinking of now. I think someone I know was going to Vietnam in
Yeah.
when's he go? He's setting off next week and
Yeah.
leaving Ho Chi Minh next Monday, and then going all the way up the country on a motorbike. So, but I can't do the entire trip, but I'm thinking of doing about a week and a bit. So
That'd
I'm
be
looking at
cool.
flights, and I think I always keep saying to myself, look, right, you're gonna pay a little bit more, you're gonna work the trip a little bit better, so but you're not
Yeah.
absolutely wrecked off the back of these long journeys. And now I'm
Oh
looking
yeah.
at flights that it's like one of like 30 odd hours, and you stop in India and you stop in I don't know somewhere else,
Bangkok or
but
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
Malaysia or somewhere like that. And I'm thinking, I'm going to do it again, aren't I? I'm just going to be. But what I want to do as well is get a few countries in on the way because
Yeah.
it all helps. I've never actually left
Yeah.
Europe. So this is
Yeah.
my
And
first.
that's the thing is like what's cool. This is one of the things that's kind of different from like in the last 10 years. A lot of the airlines give you like a 3 day to 5 day like layover. Like Iceland Air was fantastic. Like, oh yeah, you come through, you can stay for like 3 days. No big deal. Tap for Portugal. Like when I lived in Lisbon, I flew with Tap back and forth to the US all the time. And now it's like, oh yeah, you can fly Tap to anywhere in Europe. And they'll give you 3 days in Lisbon. I'm like, oh, perfect. So I can go see my friends there get my thermosals and my like green wine and off to wherever else I want to go. Like those things have been really helpful. And like when you do like the Australians when they do their like long journey to Europe, they'll stop in Singapore or Hong Kong or whatever, and they'll have like a day just to go explore. I'm like, hey, if you can throw it in. I know for us when I went to go teach in China, we do it with Finnair, and they let us have the layover in Helsinki, so we got to like have an overnight flight, have a day, get a hotel, and then another overnight flight, to kind of do that. But it was funny when we were coming back because the pollution in Beijing is so bad. Like just you can't imagine how bad it is. We got off the plane, we landed, we're like walking out of the airport in Helsinki, and we had a whole day, another night there. And we're like, what's wrong with the air? Like we couldn't figure it out. Like my wife's like, the air is sparkling because it was clean. Like the air was so clean. You're like, and sometimes like having that little break can be helpful. Like that's why I know a lot of people like they like the Singapore. Like I've had the craziness. I'm like, now I want like the sophistication of Singapore. Then I want to go more crazy. So sometimes those like layover things can really help. So like I would look into those because like you said, if you can get a couple more countries when you do it, why not?
Yeah, I think I'm going to try and just time it. So even if I lie down in a hostel in India for 8 hours, I just can get a bit of sleep and just like because then
Yeah.
plane flights where you
Oh
them
yeah.
days just traveling. I did it
Oh
in Denmark the other week. I was on the back of like probably no sleep, genuinely, just a little bit on the coach sat up, and I was just
yeah.
walking around Denmark, just disorientated, thinking, you know,
Oh yeah. And it's
and
like your first day is ruined,
yeah,
and like, and it's like, and that's one of the things, like for me, because there's different trips I do. Like if I go with the family, it's one thing, but if I go for one, it's like, this is about filming. This is about like, I do a few of those a year where it's like, hey, love you guys, have fun. The kids are in school. Like I don't have to work at these 2 or 3 weeks. And I'll go and I'm like, I'm up 6 in the morning, exploring the city, filming things, getting B-roll, going to the museums, doing all these things. It's film like in 2 weeks time, I'll film like 80 videos.
yeah,
Like we're talking like 10, 50 minute long videos for all the different channels we have. And it's just like go, go, go. But I know it's like I have to like because I don't sleep on the plane. Like I mean I could drink a bottle of whiskey. I could take all the sleep. Like it doesn't do. I'm still like da 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 da. So if I can at least like somehow like rest because I can't sleep, but I can at least rest and I'm not like worthless. Because there's been times we'll get someplace I haven't slept, I didn't sleep the night before, and I'll just like the first day it's like I just wasted a day of the vacation because I'm such a just a wreck. So that's why sometimes what I'll do is like we get in early mornings, I'll get the hotel the night before. So we get in and we don't have to just leave our bags. Hey, we can go in, freshen up, like take a shower, get cleaned up, put on new clothes. You're like, okay, I can at least make it to like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, because then you don't feel bad. Like, oh, the museums are closed. I'll just grab dinner afterwards and we'll go home. And I'll go to bed at 7 to kind of get back on that, like with the big time changes and try to make that help so that I'm not like wasting days or time. So something to think about. I mean, it does cost more, but sometimes it's worth it just to have I can drop off my crap. I don't have to like walk around, especially those long flights. Like I don't have to walk around to like airport clothes. You're like, bleh.
yeah, no, definitely, definitely. So in the sort of future for it, then obviously you've lived this unique, crazy life of traveling around to, like you said, probably 80 odd countries. You're making content, you're doing it. Where do you want it to lead? Where do you see it going to?
So when I started out making these videos, it was literally just to help people not get ripped off and help people like enjoy cultures and more. And that's what it still is today. Like I could see myself doing this until I die, basically, because I love the traveling and things change enough that I can talk about new places, but there's also new situations because like we were making videos about traveling with babies when we had babies. Now we have stuff about, like we're looking at like for my parents, we're doing like retirement travel or like, yeah, there's all kinds of different stuff we can do, but I would still always make the videos because one thing I've seen is like the Instagram, TikTok videos are giving such bad advice. Or sometimes they have good advice, but the problem is in 60 seconds or 30 seconds, you can't get the meaning behind it. It's like, I know what you meant, but other people will understand that. And like, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'll see like bad TikTok advice, they'll get you banned from airlines. Like the ones that are like, oh, like how to scam the system. They're like, oh, I get my, poor man's first class. I'm like, yeah, you buy the whole row with refundable tickets and then you like 30 minutes before you cancel it, and then you get the whole row to yourself. I'm like, flights are oversold. They know that. And if the airline sees you do that a couple times, they ban you from the airline. And like so many of these influencers like, oh, you should try that. Or there's like, oh, I mean, I understand wearing multiple layers of clothes, but like trying to trick them in the baggage stuff. Read the terms of service. You get caught doing that, they can ban you from the airline. And it's not like there's a ton of airlines anymore, because you're banned from one and they're in a group of airlines, you get banned from them all. So it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, so that was one of those things. Like I haven't gone really big into Instagram or TikTok because I like to do the horizontal, like let's really learn about the education. But I know I need to do more stuff in that realm because there's so much bad information out there that maybe they can see what I'm on. I mean, maybe they won't listen to me, maybe they will, but at least like, hey, be aware that this isn't cool. Like you can get messed up, and this person's just doing it for the clicks, and they may say they do it, but I don't think they're really doing it. Or if they did, they're pushing their luck. You know.
I saw you in England recently. You did.
Yeah.
Did you do Manchester at any point?
So Manchester, I've only gone through it. I was in Liverpool. Sorry, I'm a Scouser kind of guy. If you're a Manchester person. So no, I was Liverpool, Chester, up in that area. I've gone through Manchester. I was supposed to take my mom there this summer, and then she got sick on the trip. So it was one of those, okay, we're gonna make it more chill. So we went to the Cotswolds and Bath, Bristol. We were in London, and then we went to one of the places. Then we went to Ireland and did that. But Manchester, like that, for the big cities that are in the UK, Manchester's the last one I really need to get done. I've
Yeah,
been there before. I had a friend we were dating or whatever, and she was going to school there, so I went to visit her. So I've been there. I've had a good time when I was there.
yeah,
So I mean, it's a fun city.
yeah. Well, I'm
But
I'm,
but I
I'm from
haven't.
an area which is outside Manchester. Really, I'm not in the centre or anything, but it is my like I support Manchester City, and obviously
Yeah.
I'm from. If you're from Bury, you're from where I'm from.
Yeah.
Manchester's. It's one of them. People say you said you're from Chicago, or you're near Chicago. Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's one of
Yeah.
them.
It's like you could say it. I'm like, dude, I have no idea. I could say, oh yeah, I'm from Champaign. You're like, well, in France? No. In Illinois? What? Chicago. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like, it just, that's one of those things that everybody, that's one of those, there's one of those things people got pissed off last year on TikTok. This lady was like, oh my God, this American asked me if that's near London. I was from, I don't know, Seven Oaks. I'm like, Seven Oaks is like it's on the like the city train out. Like you're not like you work in London, you live in Seven Oaks. Come on. But she like went off about this, and then some other people were like, look, you have to understand for America, it's like I went and saw my parents yesterday. It was my dad's birthday. I drove 3 hours to literally have lunch with them, and then I drove back. Like that's for us, that's close. And we're still in the same state. I didn't even go to the other side of the state. I was still on the same side of the state, drove 3 hours, lunch, there for 2 hours, drove back, no big deal. So it's like it's the concepts that people have. Because I'll have like people reach out to me like, hey, I want to do a trip to the US. I'm like, cool. You want to fly? You want to drive? I want to drive. I'm gonna fly to New York, get a car, drive down to Miami, then drive over to LA. I'm like, dude, that's like I'm going to fly into Lisbon, drive to Belgrade, and then head up to Helsinki before I head back to London.
yeah,
Like the concept is like you gotta understand how big the country is. Or and for like in the US, it's like you gotta understand how small some of the places are in comparison, you can see a lot. Because a lot of people are like, well, do I have enough time to like go to London and Paris? I'm like, there's a train that's like 2.5 hours. Like you'll be fine. And they're like, but it's another country, is it really far? I'm like, for us, no. For them, maybe. But like it's just that the concept of distance sometimes is kind of interesting.
yeah. No, it is. It's funny. Do the accents change? Quite because in England, the difference that you'll know, the difference in accents between Manchester and Liverpool is like ridiculous.
Night and day.
Down to Wales, it's a different accent. You go to Scotland,
Oh,
everywhere is different. Is it that drastic in
it's
America?
it's not as extreme. It is not. Here's the thing: like accents in the U.S. Like if you watch movies from the '80s, they'll be in Chicago, and then they'll like, oh, then they'll do this the South and have a really strong accent down there. You go around the U.S. now, like most people sound like me, like Midwest. Like it's not Midwest accent, but it's the accentless kind of things. The only thing that's different is like there's a few vocabulary words, like some place call like Coke, they'll call it soda or they'll call it pop. But
Yeah.
like in general, like you don't have any issues. Except like if you go to the deep south, sometimes those accents can be tough for people. But even the deep south accent isn't as strong as it used to be. Yeah, so it's kind of like played up in the movies now. But it's because it's nothing like going to the UK where you're like, dude, I have no idea what he said.
Well,
I
I
sort of
get that. I've had people comment on my videos and say, "I thought I understood English until I heard this guy," and then I'm like,
you're like, I've been speaking my whole life. What's the problem? Yeah, no, like I can understand you fine, but like there's been some I remember this is 20 years ago. Traveling with a buddy of mine, American buddy of mine, we met these two girls from Scotland and we were in Poland. So with these girls and like the girl we were literally like, what is she speaking? Like we could not understand anything she said. And her friend was super cool. She realized that we could not understand her. And so she would like retell the joke, like, oh yeah, the refrigerator fell. We're like, oh yeah, that was a good joke. But we understood nothing what she was saying. And then this is like before I was really traveling a lot. Like now I'm sure I can understand it now, but I still remember that I'm like, huh? What? Oh, right.
"So you mentioned the Deep South. Do you like Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana?"
So I'll say nicest people, best food in the US. There's not always a ton of sites down there. There's some great cities. Like my two favorite places to go, well, three favorite places to go in the US. What I recommend everybody to go to. New York City is fantastic. New Orleans, fantastic food, culture, people, awesome time. And for a smaller city, Savannah, Georgia, it's got like historic Southern vibes. Like when you see those old South movies, like you feel like you're there for it. But it's done really nice for the tourists. But like it's done for tourists, but it's done for like to enjoy the culture. They've maintained it, not like make it Disney World, but make it maintained. Those are three ones I really like. So we go down there a lot. Like my oldest, he's looking to go to university down in Georgia because he was born in Savannah, and I'm like, go back down there, like go back down there. We can, we're gonna retire eventually. And my wife wants to move back because she lived in Savannah too, so she's like, I want to move back down there. So like we always have a good time to go down there, and the fact that like this morning when I looked outside, there was ice everywhere. You don't have that problem down there.
I've always thought, I've always had a feeling that I should have that I should be in America. That America's my kind of place. Even when I grew up, I looked at America and I thought, there's more in common. I feel more. For some reason, I feel more American. I feel like I
Yeah.
should be American. I don't feel American because I've never been.
Hey,
But
that's what's great about America. Everybody can be American. Doesn't matter
yeah,
where you're from in the world, you can be American and you can make people meet people. Because a lot of times when Americans they meet people that are not from the US, they're like, oh, what you doing here? Like, oh, you're from country X. Like, so what do you have there? What do you because like people actually want to know, and people are like, oh, Americans are so dumb. Like, no, they're actually asking, questions about like, so what do y'all eat there? Like, oh, like we have food. Like, yeah, they know you have food, but it's like, so is it really like do you really eat fish and chips every day? And what's with those mushy peas? And why do the Scousers eat so much Scouse? I'm confused. Like, and what's with the curry on the chips? And why do you call it chips instead of French fries? Like Americans should.
yeah. I feel like at some point I could just move out to one of the deep South states, get myself a pickup truck and a Mustang, and
Oh, they'd
and
love you. Oh, they'd love your accent out there, baby. Oh my God, everyone would love you.
yeah,
They
no,
you'd have
that's
like some nickname within like 30 minutes.
yeah.
It's
Brittany or
probably
something.
it'll be whoever is like the like most popular, like good looking, like British actor, or they think is British. They'll be like, ah, hey, Liam Neeson, what's up? They're like, oh, Henry Cavill, what's up, dude?
I hope so. I hope so. So where do you see the travel world, everything? Where do you see it going? The future of people. Do you feel like traveling is as popular as it was? Do you feel like people are just traveling now for the right reasons or the wrong reasons?
Well,
Is is
I
that culture still there? That travel culture?
Oh yeah, there's still travel culture, and I think here's one thing we have to realize is the numbers pre-COVID. Like we're finally back to pre-COVID numbers, but the thing is, so many businesses went out of business, so many restaurants, so many hotels, so many museums that now you don't. There's not the capacity to hold as many, even though we have as many tourists. We can't have the capacity for it because there's not the restaurants, there's not the hotels, there's not the bed and breakfasts and these kind of things. And then you've had the other side of where like all the Airbnb stuff and the vacation rentals were taking away people's place to live, so people can't afford to live in some of these places. Like I've gone places where literally like I lived in Lisbon and the neighborhood I used to live in no longer has any Portuguese people living there because it's all Airbnbs now. And you can understand why there's the pushback. Like Barcelona is like in 5 years, there's gonna be no Airbnbs or no like short-term rentals in the city. Like you're gonna see more pushback on that in the next few years because locals have been priced out of living in these cities. But also you're also gonna see this because all those people are like, oh, if you ever watch in like, uh Instagram, like, oh, we turned our Airbnb, we make millions. Like, no, you don't. Not now, because now there's such a glut of offerings out there that people don't make the money like they used to. So now maybe I do make it an apartment rental, or maybe like that's the idea. It's become not as profitable. So they're going to find other things. And now with the legal side of it pushing against it, I think that's going to change. In terms of the over tourism, like last summer over tourism, like the big word, like protests in Barcelona. Here's the thing: the people weren't necessarily protesting about the tourists being there. They were protesting the fact that they can't afford to live in their city. They can't afford accommodation. Like places like Dublin, people can't afford to live. I have people that have jobs in Dublin, they have to quit because they can't find a place to live. Because they're like, I'm tired of moving every 4 weeks and finishing off somebody else's, lease. So I think that's things going to be in there. But people are going to keep traveling. The numbers are going to keep going up because here's another thing. When people talk about over tourism, when they get upset, a lot of it is them being upset because, oh, we're not getting overrun by rich tourists. They want the rich, like Amsterdam. We don't want all the tourists here. We want the ones that are going to be like, doing good things, i.e., staying at the expensive hotels, going to the restaurants, a lot of money. And they're not going to Aldi. They're not bringing their food from Germany. They're spending the money in those countries to keep the stuff moving. And that's one thing I think is kind of BS because everybody deserves to travel. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. Like that's why our logo is a train, a guy waiting for a train, a person waiting for a train. Because it doesn't matter if you're rich or you're poor, you're a man, you're a woman, whatever. We all take the train, right? And everybody can travel. And that's the thing is like, just because someone's not a millionaire doesn't mean they don't deserve to see Paris or Barcelona or Vietnam. If they have the opportunity to do it, do it. Like I work with people to help them save money. There's this lady, she wanted to take her daughter to Disneyland Paris when she graduated high school. And we were talking since this girl was like 12. So this is like a 6-year plan. The mom is making a little bit over minimum wage. She's like, okay, well, you need to get a savings plan. We're gonna get an idea what the prices are now. factor in it's going to be probably 15% more in 6 years, 20% more in 6 years. That's when to save to. And so we went through it. And this lady, she was so happy. She's like, I did it. I got the tickets. We're going. She graduated high school. And like, it's fantastic. So for some people, like that lady, she couldn't be the rich tourist kind of thing, but we can get by, we can enjoy it, and we can see something. And that might be their only trip ever to Europe. And that's why I get upset with some of these like anti-tourism, anti-over-tourism things is like when they talk about, if you read between the lines, they're just saying we don't want the poor tourists. We want the rich tourists. And I don't think that's right. Like for me, I want everyone to see the world because the world's a fantastic place. You meet great people. You've been around the world, you meet great people everywhere. And it's not just rich or poor or whatever, it's everybody. And I think that's one thing that we haven't seen is like someone calling them out, being like, hey, why is this? Like, and I understand, like they want people, they're gonna put money in the economy. Like that's why tourism does it. Like you can see towns that have a lot of tourist dollars because they have a lot of nice things for a town doesn't have the population that can sustain it. But when you have 1 million people coming in and they're all spending $200 a night at the hotel, $150 a day on food, and then souvenirs, you got 22% VAT, we got 10% VAT. That's 10% to the city. You can have nice sidewalks, you can have nice things. So it's an interesting thing going forward.
No, definitely. So for me, my travel goal, and I've always said this, and I've done half all right for someone at 19. My goal is to do every country in the world. That is.
Yeah, do
Do
it.
you, as a
Do it.
seasoned traveler, do you think it's genuinely? Do you think that is a feasible thing?
Oh yeah, it's definitely feasible. Like if I didn't, because I have a day job. If I didn't have a day job, I probably would have the goal to get my kids to every single country before they go off to college or go off to university or they leave. Like, but I have a day job, so I gotta be here half the year. I'm a professor, so like half the year I have to be here. Half the year I can go travel, basically. So that extra 6 months would have given me a lot more opportunities. But you can totally do it, dude. You can totally do it. I'd recommend to do it. It's fantastic because you'll see how we're all really the same, which is one of the best things about travel. It's like it's a great way to really break down the borders and not have kind of your blinders like, oh, I know these places. Have you been there? Have you seen? I have been there. I have met the people. And you start to see things.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I just kind of came up with it. Obviously, I've always been quite an extreme kind of person. I've always had these like crazy outlooks and goals and whatever. But I've just kind of come to the realization that if I'm going to try and find a pot of gold in life and do well and catapult myself up to some great level, how many people actually go to every single country? Like once I've done that, that opens up a lot of doors. I could write a book. I could the amount of
Mhm.
things if you can stand there and say I've been to every country,
Yeah.
the things just
Well,
come off the back of it.
oh yeah, there's a lady, she was like the youngest person to go to every single country. She was like 21.
Yeah,
And like there's some like I had students who are like, but we did the math of how old she is. She could have only spent like 72 hours max in any kind, like in all these countries kind of things. I'm like, well, sometimes you just pass through because some places you can literally just pass through. But she's done the speaking tours, she got books, she's been on TV. Like
yeah.
that's one of those things. Like it's kind of like, I got my gold play button. Like once I have my gold play button, oh, million subscriber, all of a sudden I can talk a lot more and it has more credibility. Like, hey, I can bring YouTube experience to you because I've done the work to get the plaque. Hey, you've done the work to see the countries because even if you didn't spend a year in every single country, you still went to every country, so you
Still
have
been
a
there. Yeah,
taste of them. So yeah,
it's like the shortest time I've ever been in a country is Bosnia and Herzegovina, and
yeah.
literally, I want to go back. I want to see Sarajevo and all. It's a really cool
I'll,
country.
I'm I'm making videos there this summer, so I'll help you out.
Yeah, well, let me know. I'll be there at some point. But I just went in and went out. Went in from Montenegro and out back into Croatia because there was a traffic jam going into the direct route. So that is the but
Yeah,
I have been in that country. So
that's true.
that is one of the
That's true.
things.
That you've been in there, like it counts. Like because some people are like, well, it's only if you stay there long. I'm like, it depends, like how you want to see it. If you feel like you could do something, if you've been there, if you boots on the ground, legally speaking, you were there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I've got the stamp in my passport. So
Yeah,
I
they,
tell
they
you what,
would have
though,
arrested you in that country. So like, if they would have arrested me or like would have got something, you were there.
one of your sons could probably beat the record of the youngest person to go to every
Well,
country.
because so the lady that did this, I mean, this is probably 7 or 8 years ago. Like my students, they're like, "Wait, you travel all the times with your little kids?" Like, and my 13-year-old, so he was like 8 at the time. So I was like, "Yeah, he could literally get to all of them." And like if COVID wouldn't have happened, he would already be probably at 100 and some.
Yeah,
I'm like, and then it's like, all right, like we're gonna take the next 3 months. We're doing like we're doing a massive like Africa trip, and we're just gonna go boom, 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 boom,
Yeah,
and get
it's
like
number
all as much we can. Yeah, it's just then it's like, where do we want to have last? Is it we go to South Korea and we go to the demilitarized zone and step over into North Korea, so you've been there for the last one, or what do we do? So
Yeah, North Korea is going to be a difficult one to do. You can go in, can't you? But it's got to be on a tour
yeah, you
guide.
can't take it. Yeah, that someone's with you all the time. Yeah, the pictures where you can take and can't take. And then there's the for me, I mean, I would go, but I don't think I would do my don'ts of visiting North Korea videos. I would probably just do like, hey, 5 things you should know when you go there, because I would not, I don't want to deal with anything, any
Yeah,
repercussions or anything.
yeah, no, definitely. I want to do that at some point. I'll do it. But in fact, I don't think North Korea is the most dangerous place you can go to. I think it's not if you
Oh
go
no,
in with a
it's
tour
not. It's
guide and
not.
you don't misbehave.
There's way more dangerous places you can go. Go to Somalia. You go to Yemen. Like some bad things can happen.
Yeah. But like you said
So
again, I've realised how big the world is just from I've been to 20. I've never left Europe. I've only ever been to European countries, and there's still a load that I've not been to. I've never been to Albania, Macedonia, Bulgaria, where else? Norway, Finland, Lithuania. I've never done any of that. I'm thinking,
so you're telling me you got some places to go.
yeah. Oh,
Perfect. You got some weekends free.
the what? Sorry.
You got some weekends free. So when you finish the podcast, start booking.
Oh no,
Get some more places.
100%. But yeah, no, it has. I know you're a busy man, so I don't want to keep you on for too long. Clearly got a lot going on. But for the last question, I want to ask: what would you say to someone? What would you say to me, the kid that watched your videos now, who wants to get traveling as soon as he can? What would you say to someone who wants to start out?
Go. Just go. You don't have to go around the world. Just go explore more. And if you don't have the money to go abroad, go explore. I mean, you'll be surprised how many people in their hometown don't even know the stuff in their hometown. Like explore your town, explore your region, explore your state, your county, your shire, whatever. Like, and you can start from there and then grow out from there. Because I understand like money doesn't grow on trees. So you can't always go to Vietnam or you can't always go to Norway. But if you got the chance, go. Don't pass up those chances because that's one thing. So I've been doing this since I was in high school. So this is, I mean, I have my 30th high school reunion this year. So it's been a long time. And I'm like, and I still meet friends from high school. They're like, man, I wish I would have done what you did. and I mean, this is like now when they're in their 40s, but when they were 30s, they said that. They're in their 20s, they said that. When we were in college, like, oh, I wish I would have studied abroad. But I'm like, you still can. Like, it's never too late. Like my parents, so my dad worked in Mexico and Korea, and so he traveled for work, but they never traveled for fun, like out of the country. Like they went to Colombia 9 months before I was born. Huh. So I have a very special place in my heart for Colombia. But like they never went anywhere. And then when I did my master's in Germany, so I was in my early 20s. Like they came to visit me for like a long weekend because the dollar so it was cheaper to it was cheaper to fly to Berlin than it was to go to New York. Like, I will come see you. So they would have been, well, so that's what, 20 years ago. So they would have been in their 50s. They had such a good time. They started going to Europe like 3 times a year after that one trip. So it doesn't have to be today, but just if you're 70, if you're seven, if you get a chance, go do it and go explore. But don't be afraid to make friends when you go places. And don't always trust everything someone says online. You want to go experience your own things. Like that's why I never do videos of places I don't go. Like I have my notes. I watch tons of stuff. I do my research before I go, but I don't film until I've been there. I don't film anything until I've gotten a feel for it for myself, so I can make my own opinions about things. Because otherwise, you're going to be like, oh well, Liverpool, you're going to get robbed every time you go there. No, London, oh, this is expensive and pretentious pricks. And you're like, no, there's pretentious pricks everywhere, not just in London. But you can have a really good time everywhere you go. That's why I say just go, be open minded, and make your own adventure.
Definitely. It's been an honor to have you on. And
Thanks.
yeah,
Well, I appreciate it, buddy.
let me know when you're coming to Europe.
All right, sounds good, buddy. I'll be back a few times this summer, and then more stuff coming up, man. But good to talk to you, man. And I'm glad I could help you get through school back in the day.
I appreciate it, mate. Thanks a lot.
Later, buddy.